of you, one body, and we need each other. On tonight, we're going to get on into the word topic on blind eyes and deaf ears. Blind eyes and deaf ears. All right, what would you say that means in a spiritual sense? To have blind eyes and deaf ears. What does that mean to you? Your own blind eyes and deaf ears, spiritually so. What's that mean?
Means some people have eyes spiritually, cannot see the difference between righteous and unrighteous. Got ears and can't tell the difference between what's right and what's wrong, and what's true and what's not true.
Yeah. Well, the ass said, not able to tell the difference between what's righteous and unrighteous, all right, or what's true and what's not true, all right? It's pretty self-explanatory, all right? You have eyes, but you're not perceiving what is before you, all right? Or you have ears, but you're not really comprehending what you're hearing, all right? So just quick definition, all right? Real definition, without sight, lacking mental perception. All right, similar to what I just said. And then also to be blinded is to be deprived of light. When people are blind in the natural, their eyes aren't working, those senses to detect light aren't working. All right, we see because of rays of light. All right, so without sight, lacking mental perception, or deprived, and we're going to be talking this concerning the spiritual side of things. All right, and then to be deaf is what? Can't hear. All right, I'll let y'all some that's right. Get that written down. Deaf. All right, as I said, you have ears, but deafness, you don't have any hearing. And this was one definition, y'all finished writing that one. It said to be deaf, that can mean either partial or total loss of hearing. All right? So either partial, meaning it's not completely gone, but it's on its way. Or either that total loss, you hear nothing. All right? Y'all got that written down? That was right. Okay? So that's that up there. Lacking, simply put, the sense of hearing. All right? Lacking the sense of hearing. Would you say that is going on in today's time on a spiritual level?
Yes.
It is. We see it all around, all over. All right, and especially in church congregations, not just one church. All right, but that's world, nationwide. All right, blinded eyes and deaf ears. All right, we're going to open up in Luke chapter 17. And in that chapter, we're going to read verses 22, and we'll try to get to 33. Luke chapter 17, verses 22 to 33. All right, and while you're flipping, then we'll ask you a couple of questions, then we'll get into our scripts. We got a couple of readings to do tonight. All right, we just gonna try to stay in just two books though. What are actions of an individual who is spiritually deaf or blind? What are some of those actions or behaviors that you would say? Somebody who's spiritually blind and spiritually deaf. See y'all thinking.
They don't have any structure. They just go with whatever.
Brother Chris said they don't have any structure, just go whatever, just go with whatever. All right, anything. I like what Brother Al said between what's right and what's wrong. Just go with the flow. All right, as they say, we just go with anything. Anything goes. All right, what's other things that y'all would say?
They can be deceived easily. They just go by what somebody have somebody guide them.
Yeah.
So people can guide you in the wrong way spiritually.
Uh-huh.
When you think they're leading you right, they can be leading you wrong.
Yeah. But I say you're easily deceived. All right? The blind cannot lead the blind except they both do what? Fall into the ditch. If ain't nobody seeing that danger is ahead, everybody finna get it. We finna just go down the, might fall over a cliff. All right? What else you would say? Actions. All right? Some actions. All right? We had no structure. You're easily deceived. All right? I put this, and I heard somebody finna say something. I'll help y'all out a little bit. I wrote this one down when I was doing some studying. They may view God's judgment as just life happening. All right, you ever heard people say, well, that's just a part of life, or that's just a part of nature. All right, we see these drastic floods. All right, somebody who is spiritually blind, they'll say, well, that just happens all the time. That's just nature, Mother Nature. All right, not seeing that, that be the judgment of the Lord. All right, spiritually blind. All right, and then I also said they'll ignore warnings. All right, the Lord sent out a warning, they ignore it, brush it off. All right, don't even bother. All right? Anything else y'all would say?
I would say, for an example, at work, I had an incident that's going on. It's just people think, when they see someone is dying, like, it's nothing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't have no compassion. It's like, it's nothing to them. Like, do y'all know this? They finna die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's part of life.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. They don't have no compassion. It's nothing there. It's like they just don't got no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is not a big deal.
Yeah.
To them.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That I noticed that a lot at work, especially with the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
The young nurses, they can kill it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So Sabrina said she knows on her job, to them, death is just nothing. All right. A lot of most people like that, they don't really believe that you have a soul that's going either to heaven or hell when they're in that mindset. So they don't, like, we all gonna die. That's just the end. That ain't the end. That's the beginning of eternity. Uh-huh. That's true. All right. I'm bothered by life. All right. What else?
Well, I thought about, like, you ever seen that? It's really like unbelief, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because some folks feel like you just going to live forever.
Uh-huh.
They don't feel the need to change because they feel like everything going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Like you said, the floods, the fires,
Uh-huh.
the hurricanes, and all
Yeah.
this stuff coming, they don't face them.
Mm-mm.
They say, well, it's going to make us stronger. That's
Yeah.
what you hear.
Uh-huh.
So it's unbelief. I just think maybe unbelief.
Yeah. So space said unbelief. It is. I was reading an article when I was studying into this. I read an article and it said since 2025 came in, it's been more flooding just from about, I think they did a time frame, July the 15th. And they said it's been more floodings and deaths in flooding. The 870 said just the flood seen so far has been the greatest flood that they've ever seen, period, in that period of time, that amount of time. All right, but now you think about that. We ain't even finished out this year yet. And we know the prophecy was that every year it's going to get worse and worse. All right? Worse and worse. All right, would you say anything else? Don't want to overlook nobody.
People don't have a fear. They don't have a fear.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't have fear for nothing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, some like, you want to go? Yeah, they don't have a fear.
Uh-huh.
Birds do not have a fear.
Yeah.
But I feel everybody. I feel I'm being here, sir.
Yeah.
They do not have a fear.
Uh-uh. She said no fear. That's true.
That's true.
No fear. Kind of like those with that conscience that's been seared. Nothing faithful. All right, you can go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say too, I think, at another action would be like, they get to the point where they, not only can they be deceived, they get deceiving their own self.
Yeah.
Like they'll, like, for example, like you, like, continue to read the Bible and that was like, and they're like, well, it was just for the Bible. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Sister Maria said they not only are deceived, but they deceive themselves. Does the scripture say that? All right, you'll be deceived and deceive your own self. All right, anybody else?
They'll believe a lie before they believe the truth.
Yeah, real quick, real quick. He said, believe a lie before the truth. And some of them you won't persuade them of the truth. All right, will not persuade them. All right, anybody else? All right, Luke chapter 17. I'm trying to get through this. Luke chapter 17, verse 22. We're going to pause a little bit in between this reading, and then we're going to jump into Genesis. But then we'll come back. Everyone there? All right, it says, this is Jesus talking to his disciples. And he said unto the disciples, the days will come. All right, this means this is definite. When ye shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye shall not see it. All right, he's talking about his crucifixion within this as well. And they shall say to you, see here, or see there. Go not after them, nor follow them. Also talking about false prophets and teachers, apostles rising up. For as the lightning that lighteneth out of the one part under heaven, shineth unto the other part under heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. All right, talking about, you see how quick lightning flashes before you? That's what he's saying. That's how quick it'll be when he returns. All right? Verse 25, it says, but first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation. And as it was, all right, take note of this verse, as it was in the days of Noah, so, note this word, shall, all right? Notice I put a lot of emphasis on shall. That means it's going to be definite, all right? That's a promise. It's going to happen. It says, it be also in the days of the Son of Man. Verse 27, they did eat, all right? For bellies become their gods. They drink, all right? Wine, drinkers, alcoholic beverages. They good time. They married wives. They were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. All right, so basically they're continuing on as in life as usual. All right, to them there was nothing to be worried about. It says, until that Noah entered into the ark, that place of safety, and the flood came and did what? Destroyed them, not just a few. All right, but destroyed them all. Hold your place right there and flip over to Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. All right, just give ourselves a reminder. Genesis chapter 6, and then just go down to verse 5. All right, but he said, as it was in the days of Noah. All right, over there in 2 Peter also said that Noah was a preacher of righteousness. All right, so I'm sure in his day and in his time, he was trying to warn somebody, all right, about turning from their wicked ways. Just as it is today, God has vessels that are sending out warnings, all right, to let people know you need to turn from your wicked ways because Jesus is on his way back. All right, Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Everyone there? All right, it says, and saw man was great in the earth. All right, is the wickedness of man great in the earth today? Yes. Very much so. It says, and that every imagination or the intentions of the thoughts of his heart was only, notice that, got to a point where it was only evil, and then what? Continually, constantly, just evil. Verse 6, it says, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, because of that much wickedness and evil. He said both man and not just even the people. It says, and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air. For it repenteth me that I have made them. Verse 8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. All right, why do you think that Noah found grace in God's eyes? Because he was righteous. Because he was righteous. Actually, this question, just as a self-thinker, would the Lord look at you as one that's righteous? Would you be found with grace in the eyes of the Lord if he were to send destruction tomorrow? Would you escape it? It's a self-thinker. All right? Verse 9, it says, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man, there it is, and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with what? Violence, all right? So there's nothing new. Murderings, killings, nothing new. It says, and God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, filled with pollution. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God, that's the importance of having the Holy Ghost. All right? Being kept. It says, and God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy with earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. In other words, get you a place of safety. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. And then jump down to verse 17. Same chapter. It says, and behold, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth. We said that earlier, we see many floods. All right? Just the other day, there was a flood even in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin as well. It says to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven. And everything that is in the earth, it shall what? It shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant. And thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. All right, and then go over to chapter 7 and go down to verse 17. Chapter 7, same book, verse 17. All right, and just as the Lord said, it says, and the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, or lifted it up, and it was lifted up above the earth, and the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth. All right, so these waters are constantly falling. And the ark went upon the face of the one of the whole recovered. All right, it says all the high hills. Think about this, the mountains. Think about how high mountains are. All right, the waters rose so high that the mountains were covered by the waters. Verse 20, he said, 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. All right? And all flesh died that moved upon the earth. Now, could you imagine in our day if the Lord just constantly allowed the rain to keep falling? Y'all see the rain that we be getting lately? In an hour or so, a road flooded out. Imagine if he said, rain keep falling. Rain keep coming. All right? It says, all the flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl, cattle, beasts, every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man. All right? And then let's go back over there to the book of Luke chapter 17. All right, but notice here, Now he compares it, he says, just as the days of Noah, they're going on, doing what they want to do, eating, drinking, giving in marriage, all right, having a good time. Pointing to that destruction is coming, all right, that flood. In verse 28, all right, you'll see that he also mentioned about Lot, all right. Now, what happened in Lot's day? What happened with Lot? Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. It was interesting to me that the Lord named these two major events when he's telling them. He said it's going to be just like it was in Noah's day, just like it was in Lot's day. Not only that they're giving in marriage and having a good time, but notice how the destruction happened. All right, keep that in mind. And then verse 28, Luke chapter 17, he says, likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank. He said, and even with them, they bought. So they probably were all wealthy people. All right, they're buying. They sold, they planted, they builded. All right, wealth. The same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be. All right, notice he's saying shall. In the day when the Son of Man is revealed, or when he returns, and that day shall be upon the housetop, and his stuff in the house. All right, don't look back like Lot's wife. Let him not come down to take it away, and he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Remember Lot's wife. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. All right? And that's the thinking for you. Are you in the place, all right, or do you have those spiritual ears for God to warn you of destruction to come, all right, and you actually heed that warning? All right, we read that Noah walked with God. All right, are you actually walking with the Lord that you will have an ear to hear? All right, if he say tomorrow, don't go to work because it's going to be a mass shooting. All right, do you have ears to hear that? All right, and then let's go back to Genesis chapter 18. All right, blind eyes, and deaf ears. All right, while you're flipping there, in Luke chapter 17, Jesus tells the disciples that people will repeat, basically, the behavior of the days of both Noah and mankind. All right, that's the point of the day and time that we're living in. All right, just like the Lord said, he's angry with the wicked every day. All right, and when his anger is kindled to that extent that it was in Noah and Lot's day, know and rest assured that his wrath is coming. All right, his wrath will come. Genesis chapter 18, and go down to verse 20. Genesis chapter 18 and verse 20. All right, and as we said, you'll see people, they'll see destruction going on, even like the fires was happening out there in California, and they'll still not be bothered by it. Still go on, still try to rebuild. In so many days, they'll have an estimate. We're going to try to rebuild this city that was destroyed. All right, but if you're noticing, when destruction taking place like that, they think that they're going to rebuild and destruction takes place again. All right, that's the wrath of God. Genesis chapter 18, verse 20. Everyone there? All right. It says, and this is the Lord, he's speaking with Abraham. Abraham was actually interceding on Lot's behalf while he was down there in Sodom. It says, and the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because they're very grievous. All right, that's that word again. Same thing that he said about in Noah's day. He said, I will go down now, or quickly, and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence, and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. This is where he's going to try to plead with the Lord of that city not to be destroyed, because he knew Lot was there with his family. It says, and drew near, and said, wilt thou also with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? All right, and then we'll do these other two verses. We're going to jump over to chapter 19, just for the sake of time. That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if the Lord already knew there wasn't, I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will place. For he got down to 5. All right, question. I wonder, would it be 5 just within our congregation? All right, or just within the city of Dothan? All right, would the city be spared? Just 5 righteous. All right, would the city be spared? Chapter 19, and then go to verse 1 there. Same book. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. All right, notice by Abraham, he'd been trying to intercede for him. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, behold now, my lords, turn into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise on your ways. And they said, nay. All right, they were sent there on assignment of the Lord. They said, but we will abide in the street all night. We're going to stay and watch in the street. All right, but it was sad because the people were so perverted that the angels couldn't even just sit in the street and watch. All right, because the men were after them, perversion. It says, and he pressed upon them greatly. Lot knew it. And they turned in unto him and entered into his house. And he made them a feast and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. And then jump down to verse 12. Jump down to verse 12. All right, but Sodom and Gomorrah, a wicked, perverted areas. All right, over there in New Testament, Paul said, except there was a remnant left, we'll be just like them. All right, you can see it. All right, we'll be just like them. All right, verse 12. It says, and the men said unto Lot, they're coming out, hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy sons? All right, so they're telling me you're going to have to get out of this city quickly. And thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because there wasn't 5 righteous found. Because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord. And the Lord sent us to destroy. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. They thought maybe he had then lost his mind. And then go to verse 24. Verse 24, but they're warning, get out the city, get out of there. Verse 24, then the Lord, now look at this, imagine this. It said, the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire. All right, but think about that now. They said this fire is being rained down. All right, so you think about the rain, how rain is. He said, and brimstone from the Lord, and all the plain, and that which grew upon the ground. Verse 26. All right, Luke said, remember Lot's wife. But his wife looked back from behind him. All right, they were warned, just keep going. Don't try to take nothing out of this city. Don't even think about it no more. It says, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. All right, so Abraham was in a place where when he looked out from where he was at, he could actually kind of see like the city. All right, you know, you can be like in a high place and you can see an area. So where he was at pretty close to it though, where he could see it. All right, it says he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain. I guess he was looking to see, Lord, did you find those five that maybe were righteous? It says, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. All right, big smoke. And it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain that God remembered Abraham. All right, now Abraham is the one standing in the gap. It says, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. All right, there's a thinker question up here. All right, I said it. Do you have ears to hear God's warning of fleeing the wrath to come? Or do you have eyes to see the signs of his coming? All right, what we've been seeing going on in the land. All right, this thinker question for you to ponder on. How much longer, think about this, how much longer will the prayer of the righteous? All right, thank you. Will his destruction be held off simply because of the prayers of the righteous? Notice how Abraham was praying on Lot's behalf? All right, think about that. Some destruction the Lord has held off simply because the righteous one is praying. All right, it ain't because we so good, but it's because the prayers of the righteous do what? They avail as much, covers much. All right, those prayers of a righteous one covers plenty of ground. All right, think a question for you. And then we're going to end over here in 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 3. Just 2 verses there. All right, but eyes to see, ears to hear. That's what we must have. 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 6 and 7. All right, verses 6 and 7. All right, don't take the warnings, all right, of the Lord lightly. All right, especially when we're given opportunity and chance. One thing I was looking at as well, in Noah's day, they had a little while, all right, to actually get on board that ark. All right, but in Sodom and Gomorrah's day, that destruction came suddenly. All right, it was in an instant. All right, to the extent the angels had to tell them, look, don't try to take nothing with you, just get up and go. It's time to run. All right, 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 6 and 7. You there? All right, and we're going to end over here. It says, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed or covered, flooded out with water, perished or was destroyed. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, this present, by the same word, are kept in store or preserved. Reserved unto what? Reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of who? Ungodly men. Who have eyes and see not, those who have ears and hear not. All right? And we're going to end it right there. All right? But don't be caught with blind eyes and deaf ears. All right? We have any questions or comments on tonight?
I was sitting there thinking, like,
did, living right, like, that was part of God's judgment, so it's like the word is still is being revealed. Even from the time Noah and, God fell, this stuff still happening. Like you said, people still having like deaf ears and blind eyes, and God saying, it's just, mind blowing to actually see the word written on the wall and not take heed to ignoring it.
Yeah, it is. All right, and that's why you have to be careful. It's real easy. If you're not careful, you get in that way. All right, well, people just going on like ain't nothing happening. That's why you have to guard your soul.